Here with Congressman Thaddeus McCotter. It is great to see you, sir.
Nice to see you, Tony.
First things first, not in this debate. What was the reason behind that?
Well, Fox made the determination. The Iowa Republican Party has been great. Their criteria we met. They're a partner in this. Fox didn't like it. They went with a different criteria. We submitted our data. They didn't accept it. And so we're not in the debate. I hope to be in the next one.
Let me move you off that. Let's move on to what we're seeing now with the market.
You moved me on it.
I moved you on it. I moved you on.
on.
This is what we do.
Tony's moving in storage.
Thank you. Talk to me about the super committee. We've seen the debt limit bill get passed. We've seen the fluctuations in the market. Is the super committee a valuable entity?
Well, I think we have great members on it. Jeb Henserling, obviously, and my two fellow Michiganders, Dave Camp, Fred Upton. What they have to do, I think, first and foremost, is express that the 1.5 is a floor, not a ceiling, in terms of deficit reduction. The downgrade should spur that, and I would hope, and I know that these individuals on that committee are going to try to remind the Democrats that more taxes, which will result in a smaller tax base, is not going to help the federal government. It's going to hurt this economy, that the wild spending spree they've been on has to end. And so I think that the balanced approach is what any normal balanced person would do is say, don't repeat your mistakes of higher taxes and more spending because it's just going to hurt the economy more, and they will send that message to the Democrats.
Do you have any constitutional issue with the super committee, whether or not it in and of itself is even allowed?
No, you've had Congress establish task forces. What would concern me is what's not happening. This committee still allows, you have to go to the Congress for a majority vote of the House, a majority vote in the Senate. It has to be signed into law by the President. This is more akin to a task force. I think the name super committee and the chaos and the contentiousness with which the committee was born have raised concerns that I think that Washington has to do a better job of addressing it. Now, Tony, you know from watching Obamacare and other things that in the past, one of the worst dangers was leadership would write the bills under Pelosi and the Democrats, where it wouldn't go through regular order, wouldn't go through committees. This isn't a case of the leaders sitting down writing it. They're allowing a committee to come forward. They're allowing it publicly to be done, and then it'll be reported so that the constitutional process is satisfied.
In the debate, a lot of questions about the economy, a lot of questions about monetary policy, and we often hear a conversation of the gold standard. We hear about trying to ease the markets. You're in charge, you're the president. What are the steps you would want to take, or the first 1-2 punch that you would give to try and bring back the economy?
Well, first, the president can do through executive orders to rein in the EPA so they don't try to continue to put cap and trade in place where they do not have statutory authority, and they won't. Secondly, the first piece of legislation has to be to restructure the banks, force them to recapitalize without taxpayer money, debt for equity conversions. You have to make sure that the ones that are insolvent are walled off, their assets put in place, like James A. Baker said in the Resolution Trust Corp. You have to make sure that their leverage limits are so they can never collapse again. These are things that have to be done because, as you know, Tony, you can do tax relief, which is necessary, regulatory relief, which is necessary, energy policy, which is necessary. But if that credit market isn't functioning, if credit isn't getting down to entrepreneurs, workers, innovators, home buyers, refinancers, this economy is going to stay as stagnant as it was in Japan in the 1990s, and we cannot have that.
Let me bring you to your own words from the floor of the House. You're talking about the Tea Party, you're talking about the GOP, and I'm paraphrasing, forgive me if I don't have it perfect. It's time for the Tea Party to grow up and the GOP to wake up.
Right.
To the Tea Party line, what does it mean to grow up?
They have to mature as a movement. In fact, as you look at what they were trying to do, especially in the mainstream media, was to separate the Tea Party from the Republican Party and the cause of deficit reduction, as we saw throughout the debate over the debt ceiling issue. And we've seen people like Senator or Vice President Biden and others continue to smear the Tea Party because they were being set up to be the problem. And so what I would urge is the Tea Party to view people like Allen West, who they may not like one vote, not to write him off. I would urge Republicans not to write off the Tea Party because you come from a premise of shared principles. So as one matures, one has to wake up and recognize the mutual necessity of them. They're separate entities, that's fine. But if you divide, especially in a critical period of time, over this or that, the united enemy is going to ensure you're defeated.
Does that also include the raising of the debt limit, which many in the Tea Party felt we shouldn't do at all and taxes were always going to be off the table?
No, I would argue that it is as a process. Lawmaking positions I can understand when you know the bill's going through and this is what it's going to look like. But when you move the process along, as Colonel West and other Republicans did that are very conservative, and I think he put it best, is you don't want that to be the end of the world and start to lose your allies, especially in the middle of a process, or divide in the middle of a process. Well, look, the Democrats were united in their irresponsibility, their commitment to raising taxes and spending more of your money. We all, as a Tea Party or as a Republican Party, share an opposition to that. But if you splinter in the middle of that, And if you leave people like Colonel West or others to all of a sudden now be considered no longer conservative, well, all you've done is hearten the enemy, fiscal responsibility.
Congressman Thaddeus McCotter,
Tony,
all the best to you. I look forward to seeing you in the next debate.
Well, I hope so.
You going to mention my name when you?
No.
Just a shout out?
No, maybe they'll let me in if I don't.
Hot diggity. PJTV, more to come.
Carol Burnett for Tony.
Count on it.